What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jason. We're continuing on with the last segment of the 30 on 30. So we started with the Central, alternated every day, National League, American League. Then we moved over to the West, did the same thing. Now we're taking the Concord over to the East, and we're going to go over the teams in the East. National League, American League, alternating back and forth until all 30 teams are done in 30 days. So, and for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, essentially I'm breaking down every team's offseason, identifying some of their big needs, what I think they should do, and my predictions of what I think they'll actually do. So if you're a fan of no matter who, Brewers, Marlins, Orioles, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, doesn't matter, your team's going to get covered. So take a look in the description down below already. You'll see a whole bunch there, and you'll see a bunch of other videos like MLB free agent predictions, MLB contract predictions for this year, some trades, and quite a few videos on the Yankees as well. So you're a baseball fan, this channel's for you. If you're a Yankee fan, this channel's definitely for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and hit that notification if you haven't done so yet. So, and my regulars, you're the best. Thanks for making this channel so awesome. I really, really, really am grateful for all of you. With that, we're going to start today with the surprising team, one of the most surprising teams of 2020, the Miami Marlins. Yes, it was a 60-game season, so I'd be curious to know how well they would have done over 162 game, but that's the reality. But they still played well, and they're a team in my opinion, and kind of observing the Miami Marlins. And I'm a huge Don Mattingly fan. I'm really happy that he won the Manager of the Year this year as well. It's well deserved. He does a great job of managing teams and working, inheriting mediocre teams and bringing them, elevating them to playoff contenders as well. So he's a great manager, and I think he's a perfect fit for the Marlins. And again, this team is, it's a mixture of young talent, mixed with some veterans and so on and so forth. They're not a high payroll team. They never really have been. And then anytime they kind of signed an expensive player, they generally shipped them away to another team for a bunch of other people. Hence, like Giancarlo Stanton and some other players as well, Christian Yelich. And then before they got really, really expensive, or while they were already expensive. So some of the needs I've identified. I mean, and I'm just going to go over a few, but like every team has a bunch of needs. So, and the cool thing about it this offseason is it's about 200 free agents. And I think this is, silver lining and kind of the non-silver lining. The non-silver lining is due to, the stuff that's been going on and being in a very uncertain world right now, and Major League Baseball losing billions in revenue. A lot less players are going to get the contracts they likely would normally get in a financially sound year. And I can even think, I can even see 2021 being a staggered year or a step year back to a 162 game season. I could see it being a 120 game season with abbreviated numbers of fans, 1/3, 50%, or whatever, or gradually increasing fans depending on the health of every people in the economy and where we are and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be a pretty big transition year. But they've done a good job at mitigating a lot of the COVID stuff, having low positive test rates and stuff like that. So they've done a good job, and I think they'll continue to do that. But some of the needs that I identify for the Marlins are starting pitching. I'm looking at my baseball book. Second base or infield, outfield, and bullpen. Obviously, there are other needs as well, but no team, is going to identify or address every single need that they have in any offseason. So they're going to do the best with what they can and try to convince people to come there and so on and so forth. And the same applies to the big payroll teams, because not everybody wants to go to the big payroll teams either. So, starting pitching, to me, I think it would be a good idea for them to bring in like a Mike Minor, a lefty pitcher, veteran pitcher. He's low 30, maybe 31 or something like that, or maybe mid-30s, but he's a durable, dependable veteran starter, and they can get him for a decent contract, maybe 1 year, maybe a year with an option for a second year, and you can slide him in to complement some of those young pitchers they have, and another veteran to stabilize that rotation too. And I think in the Marlins case, it's going to be incremental moves since they made the playoffs. I think they're going to continue that trend and bringing in some players. They may even make another crazy trade because they do have a pretty good farm system as well, and it's top 10 farm system in Major League Baseball. So they have prospect capital to bring in somebody. They brought in Starling Marte, and actually they have him for 2021 as well. They got him from the Diamondbacks, and so that was a good trade. They shipped out obviously Marcell Ozuna. But bringing in Marte gives them an outfielder, to be there for next year and hopefully, complement him with someone else. But in terms of starting pitching, at least Mike Minor, I would think it would be a good idea for them to bring in a second pitcher via free agency or trade. Use some of that prospect capital, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got a Kyle Kendricks from the Cubs. Now that the Cubs have kind of decided that everybody's open for business for trades. I mean, they're willing to trade anybody. This is an opportunity for the Cubs, the Marlins, to use some of that prospect capital to bring in a reliable starter. Okay, so bringing in somebody like him and a Minor, that's a nice boost to the rotation. So just a thought. Now I'm talking about what I think they should do right now. Okay, second base or infield. I mentioned this name in a lot of my other videos because he's so versatile, and I think this is the year to capitalize on people who can play multiple positions and not cost $150 million. Jurickson Profar, I think he's a good fit here. I think he's a good fit in Kansas City. I think he's a good fit in a whole bunch of teams. And he's someone that can come in. He's only 28 years old, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him. And he was one of the top prospects in baseball not too long ago. And I think he can come in and play multiple positions, infield and outfield, give them versatility, give the lineup a little bit more depth. And this is the other thing. I think depth is a word that should be taken advantage of this year. And teams should, bring in a bunch of guys like him and a bunch of guys like Tommy La Stella and all these other guys and bring in depth, okay, to offset injuries and stuff like that. Because sometimes, if you lose a starter, their second piece or their backup outfield, their backup infield, the utility guy, whatever, it's not always the most ideal person for the job, or he just can't handle it, or he gets hurt, and then what happens then? So this is the opportunity to bring in, maybe multiple players at a low cost and not have to break the payroll, obviously, and just go through the roof. So that's why I think Jurickson Profar is a perfect fit, because he gives them versatility, he can protect a lot of different positions, and again, he's not going to break the bank. He's not going to cost boatloads of money. Outfield, he's kind of in the same boat, but outfield, I think they should bring back Marcell Ozuna, and he's a free agent. Yes, he's going to cost money. That could be their big expenditure, but at the same token, they're upward trending now. They're not downward trending, okay? And, bringing back an Ozuna to complement Marte and some of those other young players, you might be onto something now with the Marlins. They might be attractive enough for him to come back. I mean, I can see him going to other teams too, like the White Sox and some other teams. And if you want to know where I have him predicted, take a look at my free agent predictions video down below if you haven't already done so. You'll know exactly where I have him going. But I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Marlins. So it's just a thought there. And as well as bullpen, I have somebody like Brad Boxberger. And even somebody, I wouldn't sleep on Brad Hand. A reliable lefty. He's a power arm. Yes, he's going to be coveted by a lot of teams. But, again, the bigger market teams don't always get these guys either. So, imagine the Marlins bringing in an Ozuna, bringing in a Profar, bringing in, a starting pitcher, and bringing in a solid reliever. That's a heck of an offseason for them. Okay? I'm not saying they're going to overtake the Braves or be up there with the Phillies and the Mets, but the NL East is pretty wide open right now. I mean, it really is. It's not like in my opinion, not like the NL West where the Dodgers and the Padres are kind of half light years ahead of the other teams. It could be a very close division like it was last year. So, and with incremental moves like this and, bringing a solid guy or two, I could see that happening. I really, really could. So that's what I think they should do. What I think they're actually going to do, I don't think they're going to make all those moves. Yeah, I think they'll bring in some incremental guys, and maybe give some of their top prospects a shot. But I do see them bringing in Mike Minor. I also see them bringing in Jose Quintana. So 2 starting pitchers. Be a free agency, not one trade. And those guys, again, veteran starters who they can get maybe for a 1 or 2 year deal, and that's not going to be super expensive. And it'll give them veteran presence. They're both lefty pitchers. They both have baseball in them left. And they can both complement some of them young starters and young relievers that they have. So I think they'll double up on starting pitching, which is a good idea. I think it's a good idea for a lot of teams to do that. Again, not sexy moves, not flashy moves, but they don't always need to be sexy and flashy, And like I said 2 years ago, DJ LeMahieu was not a sexy move for the Yankees, but it turned out to be the best free agent signing, aside from Garrett Cole that they made in a long time. So, I like moves like this for the Marlins. Would I be surprised if they made a flashier move? No, I would not. Especially now with the manager of the year becoming a little bit more of an appealing destination. And Kim Ng, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but the first female GM in Major League Baseball history. So kudos to the Marlins for that. I would not be surprised if she goes out and tries to make a couple of bold moves to put her stamp on that franchise. So well done, Derek Jeter and the Marlins, for bringing her in. I remember she was Brian Cashman's assistant with the Yankees in 1998. And he brought in a good person there for the GM. So I think she'll put her stamp on and make a couple of good moves. One of which I think might be a little crazy, but I could see them. I actually have them bringing in Yasiel Puig just to try him out on the low. He might even get the veterans minimal. You know, he's not going to get $10 million or anything like that. He didn't play last year because of, what was going on, but he's still 30. You know, he can hit. He's got a cannon for an arm. And again, if they bring him in on the veterans minimum or something shortly, not too much more than that, and if it doesn't work out, they can release him, and it's no harm done. It's not like they're giving him $50 million. So, but he can still go out there and perform, and give their outfield a little bit more protection, particularly if they don't bring in somebody like Marcell Ozuna or even a Robbie Grossman or something like that, veteran outfielders. This guy can be sitting there for the taking, and he could produce. So I would not sleep on them with that. And again, could be a popular move, could not be, but he's Cuban, Miami, so it's close proximity, and there's a lot of folks there, Cubans that are baseball fans, so I personally think he's a good fit. So, but I think they're smart enough, too, to know that if it doesn't work out, they cut their losses quickly and keep moving on. So that's, another piece I see them actually doing. Those are the kind of the major moves I see them doing. I also see them bringing in, like I said, those starting pitchers, and maybe somebody like Sergio Romo for the bullpen. Who will give that bullpen. He was an all-star closer, world championship experience. I see them bringing in Sergio Romo as well. So that's what I have the Marlins doing. I hope they do more. I hope maybe they'll be part of some crazy trade. Who knows? I think things are looking up more than they were a year ago for them. So, good luck to the Marlins. So that's my first video in the East. After this, we're going to move over to Baltimore and talk about the Orioles. So if you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up. Remember to subscribe before you head out. And tomorrow we'll be over in Camden Yards talking about the Orioles. So I'll see you then.